The truth. You know, when you challenge me on sustainability, I've always learned the most from my critics. Because what a good critic or skeptic does is force you to reconsider your proposition fundamentally. And Rana says this to me. Sometimes I argue very vociferously for my position in the moment. But after a day or two, it gnaws you. And you start thinking, oh my God, maybe that person had a point. Maybe they made a point that's quite reasonable, but I reacted poorly. So I think that healthy skepticism, not I don't like Noosa, it's a stinky, you know those kind of people, a stinky place, they don't get it. That healthy skepticism about the processes. Now I've actually seen this observing your leadership and counselors and watching their debates and the backs and forths about this amalgamation thing and how we're going to deal with it. You see a growth and ability to create new ideas that's quite remarkable. You almost have not only a creative community, and you have a community that's constantly learning, constantly adapting, a true learning environment, learning community. That's what we want to do. And maybe, you're going to solve this on your own, because you have. Maybe with a little resource and our framework, we can just accelerate. We can make it faster. You're going to do it anyway because you're smart and you're capable, and you've done it for so long. But maybe we can do it faster and fill this vacuum, and help to fill this vacuum. And I think if that's the case, we'll be very successful.
The issue really is we need some creative marketing.
You know, I think you're onto it, and I think that's one of the ways we could help you. I think the one thing I think you shouldn't do, I'm just going to be really keen, is you can't go out there and say, Noosa is great, we know all the answers, we're the great town. And my students said this to me. They said, like, when they would go to a job fair, and there'd be like a 50-year-old man, I'll be 50, with a shirt on that said, my company is great, they knew they didn't want to work there. But when they heard about it from other people their own age, and it was an exciting place to work, that was the place they wanted to be. It wasn't in your face. And I think you're very smart, actually, about this marketing. It has to be viral. It has to be around, not Noosa's great, we have all the answers. Noosa has, and this is what I've been saying, it's a set of principles. Noosa has a set of principles, a set of things that have been indigenously created that can be a learning environment. We can help with that. We can help a lot with that. And not from a BS, not because you paid us to say that, because we wouldn't. And that's why we love working with you, because we share the same values. This isn't a financial thing. It's about shared values, and it's about shared commitments, and about learning from one another. So we can help with that, and we can help, in a way, broadcast that model. I think the other thing we need to do over time, and I haven't even talked to our colleagues about this, I think we got to bring more people here. I think we got to bring more people here and show them. And what better place to think about these principles, Lou and Mayor Abbott and everybody else and Mark, what better place to think about these principles? You can talk about this stuff my mother would have said to you, Richard, till you're blue in the face. If you don't see it, and feel that soul and heart, then you don't get it. So imagine, over time, if we could envelop a Noosa Institute or a Noosa Sem, I don't know what it is, but we've got a year to work on it, where people would come here and see it and be I hate to call a place a laboratory. I don't know a better word. My English is crappy. But it kind of an environment where this is taking root, and they could go and take their own people and learn. I think that's the way to market it. And I think over time, it's just going to get out. And it might be a Noosa style of development, a Noosa model of development, Noosa principles. But I think you have enough here to do that. And I think over time, that communication is going to be relatively easy to achieve.
How do we do this in a way which is fully globally inclusive?
Well, a couple answers. One, I think that the rise of China and India, as tumultuous, as disruptive as that will be, that is going to bring a lot of possibility and potential your way. And that has to be managed. Obviously, in a Pacific century, the rise of China, China becoming an economic growth pillar, as we need more innovation, research, creativity in this part of the world, the place to base that, the place increasingly to base that will have to be Australia or New Zealand, because you're the most open-minded, culturally cosmopolitan communities where people want to be. So I think this ability to engage creative, new industries, new business models is going to happen here. Clearly, there are big challenges for global climate, and I've said this before. We right now, at this moment in Noosa, can't solve those problems because they're kind of outside our hands. They're national level big leaders, presidents, and a lot of those presidents and prime ministers simply don't get it. But we have to keep beating on them and keep making the case and say they do. But what we can do is show that we can have an environmentally sustainable model of development here. And that's, you know, we can't make all of Australia a creative economy tomorrow. I can tell you, we certainly can't do that in the United States. We certainly can't make the United States embrace the principles of sustainability. We can't make George Bush, God, we can hopefully, you know, he'll leave, but we can't change him, and we can't change the Congress, but we can make local models. You know what I'm saying? And my true belief is that the communities, the mayors and the councilors, this is my true belief, are the true innovators of our time. That the models that we're going to, you know, roll out at the national level 30 years from now, I hope I live long enough to see this, are going to come from the actions of local people today, because the federal leaders are just completely out of touch. In most every, and I've visited many countries, most every country in the world, they're just out of touch. So we've got to start it at the local level, and it goes back to that question. Can we do growth and make it sustainable? Can we add jobs and make it inclusive? If we can't do that at the local level, we are screwed. And let me tell you why I think we can. In the 1930s, when our countries were in the heart and darkness of depression, when there was fear everywhere, and then when we fought the Second World War, people said it could never be done. We had entered into a dark age. And who knows, in our country, in Canada, in Scandinavia, we had these New Deals. Somehow, this broken system of robber barons and the poor and the blue collar on the bottom, and we're all fighting with one another, we put together an international system, and we said, you know, we can make those blue collar people like my dad have a good way of life. Somehow, I don't know how it was done, but somehow they said, maybe we'll let unions play a role. Maybe we'll have people have more occupational health and safety. Maybe we'll let them have a long-term mortgage so they can buy a home. Things that were unfathomable in the year 1910 all of a sudden became real. And we had this incredible golden age. That had to come from somewhere. And so what we need to be doing now is working on those very local micro models and saying we're well aware of climate change. We have to stop it. We're well aware of the class divide that's ripping society apart and polarizing society. We're well aware of how growth can damage a community's environment and cause great divisiveness. But we're not going to let that happen here. You know, it's within our control. And if we empower people, not experts and consultants, if we empower people, if we build, one of your counselors, God, I'm forgetting who it was, one of the people at our meeting yesterday said to me, I expected this economic development speech from you, Florida, but you talked about building community capacity. It took me 30 years as a student of economic development to realize it's all about building community capacity, because that's where the true problem solving and intelligence and capability, it's not in my head. I wrote a book. I wrote a couple books. It's in your dreams and will and soul and heart and energy. And I think that's the key. We got to make that model real here. Again, a couple last things. I want to tell you how to contact me. If you couldn't ask a question, of course, I'll be around and sign some books. If you have a follow-on question, and I don't care what the question is, or if you think I'm crazy, or it's silly, or you like what I said, my email is easy, florida@creativeclass.com. I promise to be online over the weekend, and certainly when we get back home, so please shoot us an email. We want to thank the mayor, the councilors, the community, Stockwells, and all of you. We want to encourage you to sign up for the Catalyst process, and more than anything else, I just want to tell you how honored we all are to have the opportunity to work with you. You know, what we do is sometimes hard, and we travel long distances, and we get tired. You have given Rana and I and Sarah and our team such incredible energy that we can't thank you enough. So we look forward to having a great year, and even further than that together. Thank you once again.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Richard Florida.